Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So it's nearing the end of November and I'm trying to strike a balance between keeping my shop stocked for the holiday season, and that means working a lot and being very productive, and I'm also trying to not overwork and burn myself out. So more than ever, I feel so grateful for having support still from folks out there who are following along with the projects I make when I share them on Instagram, or purchasing a piece of artwork, you know, checking out this YouTube. Thank you all so much. It really means so much to me that I can continue to do the work that I do and make art, and I'm on a mission to spend some time making a few more affordable pieces that aren't quite as large, don't take as long to make. So I thought it would be fun to share my process for making the beaded love letter, because it's a sweet project to gift it to a friend as we approach holiday season. I consider it easier than other beading projects because it's mostly straight lines and filling in with beads, which is a fun thing to learn if you're trying to get into beading. Filling in can seem intimidating, but if it's just straight lines, it's rather straightforward and manageable. Yeah, I hope you enjoy, and thanks again for being here. Let's get started. I recently restocked my hoops. I got these from eBay, they're secondhand. And this is one of a bunch of thrifted linen napkins I got from one of my favorite thrift stores, My Unique, which is in South Plainfield, New Jersey. I miss it a lot. So right now I'm kind of figuring out how I'm going to cut out the linen for a bunch of different hoops I'm going to embroider. And I'm also generally making a decision on what size I'm going to use for the beaded love letter. I just figured I'd cut some extras out as backup because I have a lot of different things that I want to make right now. I have to collect all of my fabric scraps and put them with my little fabric scrap box that I've got in the closet. The hoop I'm using for this project is 4 inches. So again, I'm going to be using a micron to draw, and the base drawing is pretty easy. It's going to be a rectangle. I'm just making sure my fabric is nice and stretched, but yeah, it's a basic rectangle to start. I'm going to try my best to have it centered and that the lines are perfectly straight, but when I bead, I tend to go over my drawing lines. I'd prefer to make it a slightly smaller drawing so that the beads can go over if I mess up, rather than like a drawing that's very large. I don't know if that makes sense. Obviously I could use a ruler for this, for the straight lines at least, but I kind of just go for it. And then the little heart in the center is the only thing that's going to be a little bit of a detail. Everything else is going to be straight lines. I'm not exactly sure which beads I'm going to be using at this point yet, but I do have a lot of different options. I do know that I want to use some kind of red bead for the heart in the center. I'm probably going to end up using these white beads for the main envelope part. I think for the outline I want to have some kind of pale color, but maybe not too pale, something that can still contrast with the main shade. I'll be using standard cotton thread and a beading needle for this project. So for this project, I'm going to be starting with an outline. This isn't necessarily something I always do. Sometimes I prefer to start with details and then work my way out, but I think the outline will set a good boundary for starting the project. And I ended up deciding to use this peachy gold shade of bead. I typically stitch 6 to 8 beads at a time and then backtrack by half of that. At least that's for outlining or filling in, and then if I'm doing smaller detail work and curves, I tend to do less beads so that they don't like bubble up. Right now I'll show you how I kind of make a stitch but go backwards by half the space and then go forwards again, catching half of the beads so that it's like reinforced right in the middle. So I'm going to continue to outline around the rectangle and then tie off my piece of thread. Alright, with a freshly threaded needle, I'm going to start the little detail in the center, the red heart. I decided to go with a glassy seed bead. I'm starting out by adding 6 beads to my needle. Again, I'm doing one stitch where I backtrack halfway along that line of beads, come back up and thread my needle again through the 3 remaining beads. Right now I'm redrawing the heart to make it a little smaller and petite. As I'm doing this, I'm just kind of figuring out what's going to look the best. I have 5 beads on and I decided to take 1 off to leave space for another outer line of beads of the heart that I'm going to kind of like bring my needle up through the point at the bottom of the heart and catch that small bead for the line on the right of the heart. I think the visual shows it a lot better than how I'm describing it. I'm sorry, I'm not used to having to describe my process out loud with words, but yeah, I'm just trying to keep it symmetrical. I'm doing the same thing that I just did right on top of that first V. It's just slightly staggered to form a little heart, so I'm just adding 3 more beads. And even though it's only 3 beads, I am still reinforcing it just so that it doesn't move around too much. And now I will add more of that outline just for the little envelope flaps, and I think I'm doing 6 beads at a time, reinforcing. Alright, this is the last bit of outline, and once that's done, I'll get started filling it in with the white beads that are going to be the main portion of the envelope. So now, as you can see, there are 2 sections to this little hoop, or the little envelope that we're beading. There's the top part that's the folded over bit of paper touching the heart, and then there's this bottom area that I'm beading now. I decided to alternate the direction of the beads. Like, as you can see, I'm doing vertical lines with my beads coming up, and then for the top part I'm going to be doing horizontal beads across, just to give it a little variation in how it looks. At this point, it is the day after the first day that I started this project. You can kind of tell by the light change. I wanted to give myself a break in the afternoon, so I figured I'd pick it up again in the morning. And I'm just finishing up filling in that lower part of the envelope. And yeah, we're almost done. Just have a little bit more to go. Now that I've filled most of it in, you can see the difference in direction between the lower half and the upper half of the envelope. This is something I like to pay attention to, is direction of my beads. I just think it makes a big difference when you're intentional about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the project. It's a cute little hoop. I'm gonna back this now. I'm pretty sure I showed how I like to back my hoops in the pansy video, so I'm just speeding through it now, gathering up the linen behind the hoop, and I'm going to be covering it with some scrap fabric. I found this beautiful little scrap of gold brocade. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you end up making this project, please tag me in your photos on social media, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you guys. Bye.